Good evening, welcome. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, December 21st. To lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, we have members of Troop 555 visiting, and they met with the city manager, and they're staying after for the meeting, and we'd like to have them lead us in the pledge. So please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Draper.
Here.
Ms. Etzel. Mr. Spinks.
Present.
Mayor Abawasley.
Here.
Mr. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Nicholson. Ms. Pazor.
Here.
Thank you. It's time we have our moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, first on our agenda we have an oath of office for a new police officer. So, Chief.
It's my honor tonight to introduce to everybody Council, Mayor, Department Head, Staff, Tyler Pagan. It's a tough name to say, but it was really easy for me to hire him. Tyler is 21 years old. He's a graduate of Linmar High School. He graduated Linmar High School in 2014. Tyler has just completed service to our country in the United States Army. Tyler was assigned to the very prestigious 101st Airborne out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. He was deployed for Somalia for 7 months. During his time in the 101st Airborne Division, he quickly obtained the rank. I wasn't a military veteran, but I understand to achieve that rank. During his time in the 101st Airborne, Tyler received the very prestigious badge, 2 Army Achievement Medals, the Army Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, Armed Services Medal, and the Army Service Ring. Tyler has 1 brother and 3 sisters.
That's why I heard.
A real quick story. When he was going through his final interview, he's sitting across from me and my other senior staff, and he says, "Yeah, I was down in Kansas City. I didn't like it down there at all." I forgive you. He's engaged to his fiancée, Joelle, who's studying at the University of Iowa, correct? And you're going to be a psychologist? Social work, okay. So they're going to be in just a few years. So, but the Marion Police Department, we're very proud to have Tyler welcome into our family. We have told him of our very, very high expectations that we have for him. And we've taught him the mantra, reach higher, here in Marion, okay? I told him that I expect him to be #1 in his class. He is assured that goal. And we're proud. We're going to be just as proud of him as a Marion police officer as we are right now his service to our country. So from me to you, thank you for making my job easy and finding a new young police officer for Marion. Take care of him. We'll have a lot of talks over time on how he can support you and you can support him. Mayor, where'd you go? I'm going to stand out of the way here.
should have been Navy, but
Your
congratulations.
mother-in-law tells me all the time.
Oh, really? Well, good gal. Okay.
Tyler, you want to take just a moment and introduce everybody? Go with a quick photo. This is my beautiful fiance, Joel Johnson. Her father, David Johnson. Johnson. Her brother, not her sister. Marion Johnson. And in the back, I have my future nephew, Jude, and
All right.
both of our family. All right. Three photos. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2. Thank you. Welcome to the team. See you in 4 months.
Welcome to the city, Tyler.
Worst 4 months of your life. Airborne.
Badge
nothing
200.
compared to-
Isn't that something, though?
200.
That's
Wow.
his badge number, yeah. Easy to remember, anyway.
Okay. Moving on with citizen presentations or comments. Anyone here to address the council? Sir, come on forward. State your name and address.
Dwight Hogan, 1565 7th Avenue. I'm here tonight.
Dwight Hogan, 1565 7th Avenue, Marion. I'm here concerning the reallocation of the loss fund, which you voted on last week and approved. Are any of you familiar with Resolution 23700? That is the development agreement between the City of Marion and Mr. Witter. In the agreement, it states that the company in Marion and that the city will provide financial assistance in the form of increment property tax payments and an economic development favorable loan to be used by the company in paying the cost of undertaking and constructing the site preparation project and the transportation infrastructure in the commercial project. On page 7 of this agreement, the city covenants, which is, payment number 2 is payments. The payments shall not constitute general obligations of the city, but shall be made solely and only from increment property tax revenues received by the city from the Lynn County Treasurer. No mention of lost money. The ballot language does not show that the loss to be used for property tax increment funding. The measure you passed, and I'm sure you did not have a copy of this agreement, I'd ask you to reconsider that agreement and get some legal information to see how you go about changing it. If you want to use lost money, then it should be in this contract. I have copies. If any of you want them, I can give them to you later.
I have a question. If there is a change to the lost funding, what does that do to the original that was voted on specifically for certain items?
Well, it shouldn't matter any changes. What they changed was from taking it from some projects down the road that aren't ready to be done yet and moving this one forward. But according to this Resolution 23-700, lost money is not to be used for it.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I asked for this agreement to be given to the members of the loss committee, and Amanda said she would make sure we got them, but when I went to get my packet, this agreement wasn't there.
Okay.
She had to print it out for me.
Okay.
And you'll notice that the vote was 4-3. The 3 people that voted no had read this agreement and concurred that it was not in the ballot language.
Okay. So if there was to be a reconsideration, which would take place after this meeting, so therefore I would not be involved. Joe,
Right.
and so, but it could come back up for reconsideration?
Well,
I think you need to go back and maybe get a opinion from the city attorney as to how you can proceed with it.
it would have to come back if the yes votes wanted it to.
I do not remember that particular
I don't either.
resolution.
I was going to ask the staff, do you have the reading of what 23-700 is?
I don't have it in front of me. We'd have to pull it up and take a look.
You want to look at my copy?
Well, I think we would all need to see it. Maybe have it distributed to us.
I think you really seriously need to take a look at it before any lost money is used on the project.
What, in a nutshell, what was it for? For the you said it was reallocated to
Yeah, it took away
project?
some projects.
But it was to an abode project?
Well, they were projects that could be delayed because they weren't vital. And
I know, but it was to an abode project. Is that what you're saying?
this is an abode project, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that's, last month you approved Resolution 26483, and that was to the reallocation. But I think you need to get some legal opinion as to whether you can do that based on this resolution.
Okay, but if, this brings up a point with 3 of us going off, and we were on the yes side, how would the yes votes bring it up, I guess?
I think we could just ask that staff come forward and explain it.
Legal, is that, how would we do if the yes votes were the 3 that are going off?
I'm not going to address that
Okay.
tonight. We've just covered a lot of ground in a cursory fashion in a very brief period. That's something I would want the opportunity to review in detail, the development agreement. I've been able to look over the agreement just sitting here in very cursory fashion. I would seriously want to look at all of the material available before I would issue any type of opinion on that.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, then, would it fall upon you then to take a look at this and bring back our reading to council?
It would be addressed to the legal department. I'm not sure whether I would be the one that would actually research the answer, but most likely I would be the one to report back to the council.
Okay.
But if that could be addressed through, the appropriate channels, we would definitely take a look at that and look to make sure that that all of the concerns were addressed.
Okay, so can we leave it for the action then as to have you and staff review that and then report back to the new council at the first of the year?
Whether we could get it to the first of the year or not, I can't say for
Right,
sure.
but I'm saying for the new council next year.
Right, yes. It would be addressed to the new council. What I would want to know, if it could be submitted to legal department in writing exactly specifically what the question and concern is, because it seemed to hit on a few different topics. So I want to make sure that we're exactly clear just what it is we're addressing.
Okay, so for an action plan then would be you and Lon and Amanda maybe going and looking at it, and then in January or whatever, report back to the new council. Will that be an acceptable action item?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
I'd
very
like to
good.
have a copy of 23,700 before that.
Yes, and if you could get 23,700 to council emailed out to us, that would be great.
Doing that right.
Okay, thank you, Dwight.
Your Honor, the finance clerk, Ms. Carey, is actually doing that right now as we speak.
Okay.
So you should have that shortly.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you, Dwight.
Thank you.
Any others? Oh, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mike Peterson, 3460 27th Avenue, Marion, Iowa. I don't know, last month sometime, Mary Lou asked for a state of the library deal from the administration, and other than a cursory overview and in conversations with the council, everybody said they didn't know what was going on. What I've been told, and I'm just going to tell you that each side of this deal has told me these things in individual conversations, and it's been my experience through all of this, no matter when I'm talking to council, administration, the developer, or the library board. Everybody has their own point of view, and they leave out some things and they include other things, and they tend to point the fingers in different directions. But this is what I've been told. The library the Marion Square Plaza was purchased without a deal in place for the library. This was a big risk to the developer, considering that at the time they were probably close to $15 million apart from a deal on the library. I can't believe that they would actually do it. It's a risk, but I can't believe they'd actually do that deal without believing that they were going to close that gap. Part of those things were probably in funding avenues at the time, but not completed. The library board has blamed Genesis Equities for some delays. Genesis Equities blamed the city. The city has blamed, Genesis Equities and the board for not getting things, back and forth on the deal is why it's taken so long. A city administrator commented to me, how frustrated it was about how long it takes for the city to act on deals like this. You certainly don't act at the speed of business, that's for sure. But it's beyond just being at the speed of business. It's excruciatingly slow. It would be a pretty epic failure at this point for this thing to fall through. I want to share an email that went back and forth. This was to the developer and to Tom. We're at a point now, as I stated in my phone message to Chad and in a meeting with Tom, that we need to talk numbers and then what a buyout looks like. It is obvious to me that there's a deal at one of the roundabouts for me. We need to talk details and what the obstacles are openly and honestly. There are extensive ways to solve the problems in front of this deal. It's time to be creative. We just need a willingness to actually talk, and not as a delay, but to find a solution. Genesis Equities and the city cannot know a total budget without knowing buyout dollars. It's not a concern what those numbers are. The only conclusion I can come to is the intent is to hang the businesses in the mall out to dry and to delay. I think it is highly important for the city and Genesis Equities to both be at the meetings Tom is scheduling. If not, it just appears to be stalling. The city and Genesis Equities need to bring real ideas and real-world possibilities, not to solve this, but as a starting point to finding a solution. Just as tenants bring what we need for a deal to happen, we need real-world possibilities brought by Genesis Equities in the city. It would be offensive if all that happens is to ask us what we want. The businesses just want to be viable. We just want to be able to go out and try to do what we do, to be businesses, and not to be penalized or taxed for having to move out of the way of the library. That looks different for each of us. While that question absolutely needs to be asked and answered, in and of itself it accomplishes nothing. Bring something to the table. If you do not feel the same way, then again, I do not see a serious desire to solve this. We as a city, as concerned leaseholders, and I would think Genesis Equities would feel the same, that this deal needs to get done or be shot in the head. This nightmare needs to end. It would be a pretty epic fail for the city to have this blow up now. Genesis Equities already owns the building with highly aggravated tenants. It would be a pretty aggravating for it to blow up on them now. Tenants in the mall have closed stores, delayed decisions, moved. We would all still be very angry. Someone having now to be faced with what to do, knowing Genesis Equities as a landlord bought the building based on a totally different set of financial circumstances. Some might go ahead and have to move out because the financing has changed. The numbers would have to change. If you are serious, we are interested. If all this is an attempt to placate tenants, you are just going to enrage us more. Now, the city engagement that has been requested, but there's a problem with the how. If our contract is with Genesis Equities, the lease we have is with Genesis Equities. If they aren't at the meeting being able to put in input as to whether those ideas will even work for them, it's pointless to talk to the city about ideas that just give information from us to them. Okay? I got a letter from, an email back from Genesis Equities, saying that they weren't going to be at the meeting. Without all three parties in the room, it's just framing and spin on the city's part to assert that the city is only meeting just as a means. They want the freedom to not really do anything. Our leases are with Genesis Equities. If the city wants to negotiate in good faith, all parties need to be there. Otherwise, it's just stalling and continued aggravation of tenants. I highly desire to solve this problem, or the project can just end. We as businesses need to be able to make decisions. That happens when there is an honest desire to find a solution. All solutions that will result in a viable path forward come from all three interests being represented. The reluctance seems pretty disturbing from our point of view. We cannot agree to anything without Genesis Equities in the room. Okay? We have zero desire to be placated with a meeting that can accomplish nothing, but give Genesis Equity and the city information and leaves us no better off to actually finding viable paths forward. As tenants, no ideas can be formulated, agreed to, or even spitballed without knowing how Genesis Equities feels. If they're not agreeable, there can be no deal. Another thing that you need to understand is TIF, TIP, and abatement are not real help to tenants. I'm going to talk about that a little more later, but they're just a way of making tenants pay effectively taxed for city goals. The meetings as offered are meaningless. Property available in Marion. There's one decent property in Marion right now that fits the needs of tenants, that has availability of space, that is even close to what Marion Square Plaza had. But due to TIF, TIP, and abatement, I'm not sure which is on it, there's a false valuation on that property that causes tenants to pay back development money. There's one decent property available as is available for sale in Marion for a business owner of my type. Okay? It is overpriced because of TIF, TIP, and tax abatement, okay, as to the actual value of the property. The city's policies and goals in and of themselves are hostile towards small lot development. I have been told it is not in city's goals to allow if they can avoid. If you need any city cooperation with a small lot development, you're probably not going to get it. TIF, TIP, and tax abatement. All tax incentives that are passed through are add-on expenses for leaseholders. They effectively are paying off a loan to the city by the developer for developing property that would not otherwise be developed. The city would state it a different way, but that's what's happening. Properties need to make market sense. What is being developed right now does not make sense in the market. I've had conversations, honest, straightforward, open conversations with 2 developers in Marion with projects that are already under development, have been developed, or are currently on the market. One of the developers openly stated to me to keep in touch because they were probably going to have to drop their rates by as much as a third of what they originally intended because the original valuations were not going to hold. Another developer I talked to basically admitted the pricing that they gave me almost 9 months ago was at least $1 to $1.50 a square foot away from the number that we talked about then. Okay? And that they realized that they had to develop at a rate closer to market than what was currently had, and that the projects they were currently looking at, they were looking at in a different price range. Leaseholders are the end users of all the things you're trying to develop. Okay? They're people who buy real estate. Okay? They're people who get haircuts. They're people who buy insurance. They're people who buy pizza, okay? Buy Chinese food and breakfast. If those customers aren't willing to pay more for the products that we sell, you can't raise prices. You may be able to do it artificially for a while, but the market will come back and slap you down and say, no, we can't pay that. And that's what's happening already. So, tax incentives raise prices. As you look at all these deals, you will get a lot of property under development. You already have a lot of property under development. You already have a lot of sites available. But if nobody like me can come in and pay the rates that you have to pay, and understand, I don't care whether it's property tax on that line, whether it's price per square foot on that line, or whether it's CAM charges for property maintenance. The total dollars that I pay on a monthly basis determines whether I'm willing to lease that property. And the only thing that decides whether I can afford it is whether somebody will come in and buy a pizza. And I can sell enough pizzas at the right price, or you can sell enough houses, or you can sell enough insurance, okay? And if you can't pay that rate. So as the new council members come in, and as the council members that are staying stick around, you need to consider that strongly, because the pricing is not going to hold. It's just not, because nobody can pay it. That's all I got. Thanks.
So up until now, the library board and Genesis have been the ones that have gone to these meetings. I think it's probably time that the city should start stepping in and do this combined meeting that Mike mentioned. Have the city, the library board, Genesis, and even some of the tenants. I think that's something as the city we ought to step up and bring that forward to a combined meeting. January, February time frame to get this going. So that's something I would propose to staff then to put that together. And if the tenants aren't getting them to come, I think the city can and get everyone together. I think we ought to step up and be the ones that put this together.
And we're perfectly willing to do that. The thing that we want to be able to do, though, is not have meetings just for the sake of having a meeting. If we don't have anything of real substance to report, then they're going to leave the meetings just as equally frustrated. And so, we've looked at it from the standpoint that from the city, we have not actively engaged the businesses individually, and we wanted to do that to start developing that relationship to have a better understanding of what they would like to do. To give you an example, one of the concepts that we've talked about is potentially having a retail pocket underneath the parking ramp that some of the businesses could relocate into. But if none of the businesses want to be there because they don't think that location fits their business model, there's no reason to build it. So we need as much of that kind of feedback from them as they need feedback from us about what the options are. It does have to be an iterative process. But we just want to make sure that, again, we aren't doing in the business of doing meetings just to make people leave even more frustrated.
No.
If there isn't anything new to report, there's not much reason to have a meeting, because all that's going to do is lead to more hard feelings.
Right, but I think we're close enough to this that, I think there probably is some things that we could bring to the meeting and things that we would need to hear. So if you guys could put that together to make that happen, January, February time frame.
Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, Mr.
My name is Robert Buckley. I've been a resident here in Marion for 37 years. I presently live at 2730 Heatherview Circle. The reason I'm here this evening is to express my concern with the current building ordinances which have allowed the construction of a very large pole building on the property at 3851 29th Avenue. The size and color of this building is shocking and has basically destroyed the integrity of our residential area. I acknowledge that everything has been built within legal limits, and it is our misfortune now to have to live with it. I have recently met with Tom Traherne and Dave Hockett. It was their advice that I contact you and the City Council regarding this matter. I am hopeful that under your guidance and or the guidance of the new members, that changes could be made to the building ordinances that would preclude something like this from happening again. Thank you. I have letters I can give each one of you if you wish.
Thank you.
I don't know if you had any questions or not.
Thank you very much. That is an issue that we've heard a lot about from people, and I for one would like to see what could be done to prevent this from happening in the future. Do we have other? I assume we have other ag.
We do. Yep.
Zoned areas within the city limits. Is there any reason why those areas can't be? Why do we have ag zoning within the city limits? Why can't it be that the minimum residential zoning or
Almost ironically, the ag district is one of the most restrictive districts. It provides for a very limited number of uses and has the largest lot requirement. But this issue is not, and I guess in staff's opinion, this issue is not is not specific to only the ag district. We can show pictures all around the community where small houses have extremely large garages, single-story homes have two-story garages. Our ordinances for accessory structures is basically what we call them.
that's what we have to look at? Is the
I think it's
accessory
that ordinance. It just needs to be reviewed. I think I mentioned before, but I think it's been probably 10 years ago, there was a concern for this. We brought forward an ordinance, and it was never passed by the city council at that time to kind of address the issue. So,
What were the reservations? Do you remember?
I think it had to do with a lot of public input. It would restrict a person's ability to build a large garage, and I think a lot of people voiced opposition to that. So, I mean, it's been a long time ago, but I think what would probably be good is maybe if we just identified to the council what the current ordinance is for the districts, and just did a little report maybe at the work session sometime, just to kind of identify the issues. The council would like to direct us to move in that direction, we would certainly do so.
It'd be a good start, a good place to start.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very good for the new council members to hear what all the ordinances and zonings and, how that applies. I know I met with Mr. Buckley the other day, and he said there's another property just east of the one that Mr. Anderson purchased that's also zoned ag, that, if that turned over, it could have something perhaps built on it as well, so.
I think it's more about the accessory use
Right.
ordinance than it is the actual A1 zoning district classification, but
So I would
they're kind of
urge
tied together.
Guess I would urge the new council to act on this as, get something that would stop something like this from being done soon.
So, in your mind, is there a reasonable way to do that?
Yeah, if the council wants to direct us to review the ordinance with them, we can do that.
If I might, I know I had Councilman Bazur talk Tuesday evening at the meeting, ask her if she would. I have a son who designs homes, and Cedar Rapids, as much as I admit they do anything well, has had an ordinance for a long time that basically doesn't allow a garage bigger than the house. And, so we might, in the course of it, Tom, look at their ordinance, because that would be concurrent then with Lynn County.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
like anything that restricts the use of private property is going to be unpopular. We found that with the motorhomes and everything else. But I think the outbuilding or the building I've had more calls on that red barn than I have fireworks. So people are, and it isn't only the folks that live in the neighborhood, it's folks that drive by there and look at it and think that, they'll call and I'll say, hey, they went according to the current ordinance. Well, I think it's time to look at the ordinance, my own opinion, and that may be a guide that we could go to along with the ordinance you brought originally.
Absolutely.
If a guy builds a 1,000-foot house, he shouldn't have a 4-car garage. It won't work, And I like garages.
Understand.
Okay. Any further comments from citizens? Okay, moving on to the consent calendar.
Yes, Your Honor. Is there anything on the consent calendar someone wants to pull off for special consideration? Any special consideration? Okay. Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 19. This includes resolutions 26550 to 26562. It excludes or skips 26553.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 19. Resolutions 26550 through 26552 and 26554 through 26562. Yeah. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 26553, accepting Briargate 6th edition to the City of Marion.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor of resolution 26553 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
And one abstention, correct? Okay, at this time we have a discussion regarding body cameras. Is you, Chief, or, okay.
Mayor, Council, this is Corporal Jason Schamberger. Jason is spearheading our effort to replace body cameras. As you were aware, a couple months ago, we went through council and demonstrated a body-worn camera system. We were pretty excited about going with this vendor, but when we decided we were ready to pull the trigger with them, they stopped returning our calls. And the customer service that we received from this entity gave us great pause in moving forward with them. It was like they were great up until the time we decided we were going to buy. So we've backed away from them, and Corporal Schamberger is going to give you a little bit of information on our next steps.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. Just a little background. In September, like the Chief said, I spoke to you about purchasing body cameras from Provision, which was approved. The resolution for that was 26343, and the PO number that was issued through City Hall was 22, or correction, number 27. On September 25th, I called our sales rep for Provision and told him that the purchase was approved, and I placed the order. She told me that before she could send the order out. As I had mentioned to you guys, we'd have to sign a 5-year contract to use their cloud-based software, SecureMax, and she said she'd have to email the contract out for us to sign off on it, give it back to them, and then they'd ship the order out. A week after September 25th, which would have been October 3rd, I hadn't received anything from them in my email. So, to make a long story short, I pretty much spent the entire month of October playing phone tag and email tag with them, wondering where this contract is, because I needed to get the ball rolling. She said they were revising the contract, or it would be delivered by a certain date, and I had never received anything. So after 5 weeks of waiting for the contract, their customer service and product became questionable. Speaking with the deputy chief and the chief, I decided to inquire about other law enforcement agencies our size or even bigger that may use their cloud-based software, so I can call them personally to see what kind of company we would be engaging into a contract with. And I waited about 2 weeks for a list of people to call, and I never heard a thing. I still haven't heard a thing. So I declined the contract electronically and sent her an email and a voicemail saying we're done. We're going to move on to another vendor, because I'm not going to get the police department and the city involved in a 5-year deal, and then something happens on the back end as far as their product or their service, and now we're kind of stuck. So I just want to also point out that the city and the police department, we haven't sent them a dime, so we're not out any money. I just simply canceled everything and moved on to another vendor. The vendor that I want to go with is Axon. It used to be called Taser. We're a current customer of theirs for their Taser products. They have a body camera. Axon Body 2 is what it's called. They also have a national field trial program going on currently, and what that means is that if you agree to participate in their field trial program, what they would do is they would send you all their product and all the related equipment to use the body cameras, and also access to their cloud-based software for free up front, and they let you use it for a year, see if you like it, and if you like the product after a year, you can either purchase it or send it back. That's basically the crux of the agreement that you're signing up. It's not a contract. We don't send them any money. They're just basically fronting all their product up front for us to use. They're going to send us all the equipment that's associated with that, and we can use their cloud-based software as if we have purchased it already. The only caveat is that if we don't want, after a year of using everything, if we don't like it, we just send it back. So, we're just requesting the council's permission to go with Axon and sign up for that trial program. If you have any questions, I can answer anything.
Questions, discussion?
No, the one that you demonstrated us, it had very good night vision.
Yes, this has the exact same features that I showed you. It's just a different company. I did speak with the Vinton Police Department. They engaged in this field trial program also, and they actually purchased it after a month. They didn't stay the whole year. They just used it for a month. I talked to their officer in charge of purchasing, and they've had zero problems with the camera, zero problems with the cloud-based software, and no issues at all. They're very happy with it.
It also was stabilized. These new ones are stabilized.
Correct.
And then sound, you have sound with them.
Correct.
So we're not purchasing anything at this time. It would just
Correct.
be participating in the program and then decision later on purchasing.
That's correct.
And was this one of the vendors you had originally looked at?
Yes, the reason why we originally did not want to use Axon is because Provision is the current company we use. It's also the company that I had wanted to go with. Another reason why I had wanted to go with them is they make an in-car camera system, so that when it was time to update our in-car camera system, which I believe is 2 or 3 years down the road, the thought was if we went with one company, we could keep all our audio-video data on one cloud-based software. Axon/Taser does not make an in-car camera system, but it's also important to point out that it is also good to have not all your eggs in one basket with all your audio-video stuck with one company, could have your audio video with company A and your body camera video with company B. So that's something important to point out.
It doesn't record on some weird video format, does it?
No.
Okay.
No. It's going to record the same. It's just instead of storing the data in-house, we would use their cloud-based software.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Your Honor, I move to direct the police department to participate in Axon's National Field Trial Program.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to direct the police department to participate in Axon's National Field Trial Program. Discussion?
I think we should have a Dancing with the Police video done on it. Okay, thanks.
Other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
It's his last meeting, you let him,
Oh, it's
give him
okay.
a little
Yes,
leeway.
absolutely. Okay, at this time, we have a public hearing regarding the Grantwood Trail Extension, Highway 13 to 35th Street, HMA and PCC Trail. The public hearing is now open. Anything to present on it, or?
I can, Your Honor. This is a project that is mostly funded through the CMPO, which is the regional entity that provides for funding for streets and trails through federal dollars. The city did receive 4 bids on December 19th. The low bid was received from Rachi Construction for $886,365.28, which is approximately 93% of the engineer's estimate. This is a 1.37-mile trail of about 10 foot wide, hard surface. It does begin at 35th Street and go east to Highway 13, where we built the underpass a year or two ago. Work will begin no later than April 16th and be completed within 75 working days. We do have a $500 a day liquidated damages, and we are recommending awarding the contract to Rachi Construction.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this measure? Okay. Anyone here to speak against the measure? In opposition? Okay, public hearing is now closed.
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 26,563, accepting bids and awarding contract to Rachi Construction regarding the Grantwood Trail Extension, Highway 13 to 35th Street, in the amount of $886,365.28.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26563, accepting bids and awarding contract to Rachi Construction regarding the Grantwood Trail Extension, Highway 13 to 35th Street, in the amount of $886,365.28. Discussion?
Your Honor, the bids were received by the DOT, not by the city. Sorry about that. The DOT accepted bids, not us.
Okay. But it's the low bid, right?
It is the low bid, and we will make a recommendation to the DOT, who will actually award the contract.
Okay.
Dan, you mentioned that part of it will be wood planking or something to...
Yeah, we have a short section of boardwalk, which will be wood with, I think it has metal railings on it, but it's wood planked.
So it's not a
raised.
It's not a bridge as such, then.
There is a bridge, but the bridge will be metal. This boardwalk is just over an area of wetland that we thought we would give a try to see what, I've seen it used in other areas, and we thought we'd give it a try.
Like our sidewalks.
Yeah. So is it a preformed bridge, or is it something they'll build on site, or?
The metal bridge will be manufactured off-site and brought in. The wood, wood boardwalks will be built on site.
Okay.
Other discussion?
Is that going to come out on 35th where the railroad, the old railroad?
Yeah, there's actually a crossing there
right.
now.
So it's going to be right there, okay.
Yeah, we put that in with the 35th Street project.
Okay. Ready to vote?
Yep.
All those in favor of resolution number 26563, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Under planning, we have another public hearing regarding a request to amend the future land use map of the Marion Comprehensive Plan regarding Echo Hill Road realignment between Winslow Road and Lucor Road. Public hearing is now open. Looks like we have a presentation.
As indicated, this is a public hearing to amend the city's future land use map and the comprehensive plan to realign Echo Hill Road north of Hunter's Ridge. As you can see, this is our comprehensive plan. The area that's kind of highlighted in red is the current alignment, and I want to point out that this is a general alignment for roadways within the community, within the comprehensive plan. You can see we're showing alignments for other roads within this area. These are not engineered lines, but they are just general locations for our arterials across the city. And we use this as a guide when plats come in to determine what type of roads are constructed within subdivisions. So you can see this is showing a dip in Echo Hill Road. When Hunter's Ridge was originally placed, or before it was placed, there was a road that went straight through the development. With the onset of Hunter's Ridge, that road curved to the north. It's been changed a couple times through the years, and because it's a general alignment, that fluctuation does occur over time. To illustrate this, here's another drawing, and I know this is a little difficult to see from the audience perspective, but this is Winslow Road as it goes north out to County Home Road, a little further off the page. Over here we have Lucor Road. This is the north part of Hunter's Ridge that's currently there. None of this area here is currently developed. So this is conceptually how the areas will develop over time. We like to see these kind of build-out plans so that we can identify how the ground can be developed. This could change, but we like to make sure that when we make decisions like changing an alignment of a roadway, that we at least know that there's a development concept that works within the engineering constraints and subdivision regs that we have on the books. The yellow line is the general alignment that currently exists within our comprehensive plan. As you can see, it kind of swoops down from the north and ties into Lucor at a little bit of an angle, but it does ride the south property line of this parcel extending to the east. This was done without taking a detailed look at what's going on. The next item on the City Council agenda is related to this area here being developed, the final phase of Hunter's Ridge. And so as that goes forward, we want to make sure that the decision to continue with that would also lead to solid planning as we continue north. What we're trying to avoid by pushing the arterial a little bit further to the north is the situation that exists on 29th Avenue. And I think the council and probably most of the folks in the room understand the issues on 29th Avenue with you have a roadway, a high volume roadway with a lot of driveway access points. Getting in and out of the residential homes is difficult. There's no on-street parking. If you live close to an intersection with a stop sign, the traffic will back up and you can't even get in and out of your driveway. So we're trying to avoid that situation, and what we've done is pushed it to the north and provided that the lots that would be adjacent in the future they'd be double fronted lots, but their access to the property would be off an internal network or a residential street. So that's what we want to make sure that happens as we move forward. So that resulted in the need to push that to the north. Staff's reviewed this at length. As you can imagine, we've been looking at this for a while. The owner of the property understands that there is some responsibility for that roadway. It's a larger right-of-way. It's a little bigger roadway when it's constructed, and they're comfortable with that and have made that agreement. The biggest concern that we've had is one of the adjacent property owners has voiced concern with moving it off the south line and moving it into the parcel, and it's this parcel here, and it kind of splits his parcel a little differently than it was before. Mr. Bogert had made that indication, and the council's received a letter to that effect. That's the only negative feedback that we've heard, or I don't know if it's fully 100% negative, but concern that we've had with the realignment. Staff is supportive of the request after the due diligence that's been completed, and we're comfortable with making the recommendation. This was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission. They did, after deliberation, make a recommendation to proceed, or recommendation to council to approve of the proposed realignment as well. Any questions on that?
Well, for purposes of the public hearing, should we do that and then come back with questions?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this measure? There? Oh.
Good evening. I'm Kyle Skogman, Midwest Development Company, 4757 Hickory Wind Lane. Basically here to maybe answer any questions that the council might have on this, but also to tell you that we have spent quite a bit of time, not only with staff, but with Mr. Blackford, who owns the north property, and then also the Hunters Ridge Development Company, so that everybody could finally get an alignment on where Echo Hill ought to go. It has moved around quite a bit, as Tom has told you. I think if you look at it now with the location we have now, it gets rid of that big swoop and also gives, I think, a better intersection into Winslow and Lucor. So I think we've got a alignment that is going to work quite well for the city. With that, I'll leave it unless you have any questions.
Anyone else here to speak in favor of this measure? Anyone to speak in opposition? Okay, the public hearing is closed.
Yes, Your Honor. I move to approve Resolution 26564, approving a request to amend the future land use map of the Marion Comprehensive Plan regarding Echo Hill Road realignment between Winslow Road and Lucor Road, Blackford Farms and Hunters Ridge Development Company request.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26564 regarding a request to amend the future land use map of Marion Comprehensive Plan regarding Echo Hill Road realignment between Winslow Road and Lucor Road. Discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. Just to go back a few years, the driveways that were built on 29th Avenue, I fought against absolutely, and in fact, the preceding city manager, Jeff Schott, said that had it been followed on my recommendation, there would not be the traffic problems that there are on 29th Avenue. Just want to mention that.
Other discussion?
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
For Tom, you said we had had a letter from the land to the east there. Was he against that, or what was?
Yeah, it was in opposition of the realignment.
He was in opposition because it splits up his parcel.
Because it moves off. It's moving off the south line, but coming here. I mean.
Yeah.
So
I think it's obviously from a development perspective, it would help his development would be, they'd split the road on the property line, so that was his concern.
why can't the alignment go down south, because that's Blackford Homestead right there, correct? Or that's owned by Blackford, the house, the homestead.
I believe you're correct, yes.
So can the new alignment, go further south and then connect back up to the old alignment so it doesn't cut his parcel down, so go down to the yellow?
Could it come down here?
Yeah, so that it hits.
It could. I mean, that would. I mean, there's a lot of curve radiuses and such that would come into play with that.
It also comes into effect is the requirement for us to have 150 feet between intersections, and so that would get pretty close to that limit of the street to the south.
I see what you mean.
Gotcha.
As the property develops east, there's nothing that says this can't, go continue this way. It can come over and come down. I mean, there's alternatives. As the council knows, when we try to lay out street grids, we do try to maintain. It's good to kind of share the property lines. It kind of helps with development, but it can't always be accomplished. I mean, it's, as you can see over here. This creates odd parcels as well. We've been in contact with that developer a while.
Sure, I
it's
get it.
difficult.
The one opposition letter.
Yep,
and if you
absolutely.
could try and reduce
Understand
as
it.
much issues there.
Yep.
Then my other question on the west side is that Winslow Road that's going to continue up to the northwest, and
Correct.
The other Winslow Road will be renamed?
Ultimately, go away.
It'll go away.
Yeah, if you notice, as they go towards the north, they come to a point, and from a network perspective, it'd be better if they were further spaced.
Okay.
So the long-range plan has that moving.
Okay, so
It actually terminates from current County Home Road.
Yeah, the adopted major streets plan shows that relocation of Winslow. I have a copy of it here somewhere.
Okay.
Tom, the comp plan, where do we go for the east? How far is that?
How far will Echo Hill?
Yeah.
Echo Hill actually turns into Artesian, so
Okay,
the concept.
so comes out by the dump.
Correct. I didn't. This isn't a copy of the entire page, but so it'll dip down here and then go over.
Okay, thank you.
I got it here. On the
Shows. As you can see here, the current location puts it really close to Lucor here. The plan calls for it to be relocated over here halfway in between.
I know what you're doing.
we tried to get that. I think it's quarter-mile spacing, and that's what
Yes.
we're trying to accomplish. So, because County Home Road will be our major arterial, obviously.
That answer your question, Joe?
So where Echo Hill hits 13, is that a flat? Would that be a flat intersection?
Here?
Yeah.
I think that one's. I don't know right off the top of my head at this
Because I
point.
know you had.
There's no. Well, there is. I guess the Big Springs continues east. I don't know if that's a flat intersection or not.
Because that's why you moved Indian Creek, or not Indian Creek,
Tower
but
Terrace.
Tower Terrace, because
That-
of that.
That's an existing intersection too.
It is.
It's
Okay.
already Artesian turns into Big Springs on the east side of 13. So.
Okay. So we're not a couple of million to change that intersection.
Yeah, I'd like to say we're a little ways from that discussion, but we're really not.
No. No.
So was there an attempt to do a design layout that met the original alignment there?
I don't think there was.
Okay.
I don't think there was. That line was drawn before we were really into the area, I would say. I don't know if that makes any sense, but when it was at a very conceptual level.
Okay.
So once you start looking at the details and how the land lays and such, that's so it's kind of like.
So this is really being driven by how the land lays and how you can develop it more so than, anything else.
Correct. Yeah, you go, and this is how from a comp plan, and I made this suggestion on Tuesday. I really think what we need to do is set the engineering alignment for Echo Hill. We just need to set that all the way to 13, and that way, when development interest is involved, we've at least vetted that. We have an understanding of how it would work, and we would be engaging in the same engineering firms that work with the developers to have an understanding of the impacts of how that road would work and kind of get to this
And I
conception.
get that. I mean, that far out, how that you would have
Yeah.
no idea when you initially set that. I get that, and I can see the frustration for the property. They want their property split. I get that too. Just because, is there a way to redo development? Probably, but this is what's being proposed. So. Okay.
One of the hardest things when we do our comp plan is that we're putting lines on a map that affect.
Yep.
Even though they look, I'll admit, cartoonish, and I mean, there's a lot of sound principles that goes into these, but they do put a line on a map. There's no question about that.
Okay.
Other discussion? Okay.
I actually do. I have a question. The P&Z, was it?
Yes.
You said it was, they deliberated on it? So did they have some issues?
No, I believe there weren't a lot of concerns at P&Z as I recall, and I don't have the vote, but I'm fairly certain that it was a unanimous vote.
Okay.
I don't have it.
The way you made
The chairs
you
in the
said
audience,
earlier,
maybe.
it made me think that there was some issues maybe, but
No, I think that, and of course, the Planning Commission is engaged in a lot more of the comp planning stuff, so they kind of understand a lot of that too. So, yep.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor of resolution number 26564, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. The next two public hearings and their related resolutions, I'm turning the gavel over to Mayor Pro Tem.
Now, this is a public hearing regarding a preliminary site development plan for Hunters Ridge North First Edition, located east of Winslow Road and north of Stag's Leap Lane, Midwest Development request. Public hearing is now open. Does there anyone want to speak in favor of this development?
Do you want to report?
Are you going to present first, or
Yeah.
is there?
Do you want to report on it, or?
Yeah, why don't you do a report and then.
Okay. All right. So, when we have, with the amendment, the reason the amendment is here is because we're seeing development in the north end. This is the preliminary site development plan as a part of the larger PUD ordinance or the PDR ordinance for Hunters Ridge. Like I said, the last phase of this is driving the desire to get this alignment figured out. This is the drawing I just was using for the alignment. The area that we're talking about is this parcel of ground. The preliminary site development plan for that is a little more specific drawing, extending a roadway between Winslow and Lucor, single-family homes, except for the highlighted area where there's some duplexes, 5 duplexes being proposed. I would point out that this is the first mini roundabout being proposed in a private development. It'll be a public street and dedicated to the public, but it is going to be built in a private development, not a part of a public project. I think there was a lot of conversation about this and internally and with the developer, because there's a concern for the cut-through traffic. We always talk about trying to calm the traffic in neighborhoods, and obviously mini roundabouts are one way to do that. And so this is the proposal that was brought forward, and staff supportive of the preliminary site development plan, and as well as the plat as presented. I think this engineering had pointed out on Tuesday that there are some lots by virtue of the already approved preliminary plat for the area or Hunters Ridge that are going to have driveways out onto Winslow, similar to what has occurred in the past. Obviously, as we move further north and as the development on the west side of Winslow has occurred, we've not wanted to see those driveways onto Winslow. So, but these have been preliminary platted like this since the late 90s when Hunter's Ridge was identified. So the development is consistent with the preliminary plat. The Planning Commission reviewed it and has recommended approval as well. So.
Okay, now I'll ask, is there people to speak for it? Sorry about that.
No, thank you. Don't have a lot to add. Tom did a good job on that. We do have 5-0 lot line that you see that are in yellow that are close to Lucor. These will be in the 1,600 square foot attached units. This is kind of going to be a little bit of a mixed use area for us. We've got lots that overlook the golf course that are larger lots, probably a little more upscale type homes. On the north side, more moderate sized lots, and they'll be moderate sized homes, 1,500 probably to 1,800 square feet. And then, as I mentioned, we've got 5 of the 0 lot lines. So basically 3 different housing styles in that area. Other than that, he covered the small roundabout that we put in there. There was quite a bit of discussion at the Planning Commission meeting, which had to do with traffic and cutting, through, because there aren't a lot of. I think there's only one other through street through Hunter's Ridge. So our engineer came up with this with the help of staff to calm traffic a little bit. So we think they came up with a good solution.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak in favor of this project? Does anyone want to speak against the project or want more information on the project? Not seeing any. Public hearing is now closed. Mr. Brandt.
Yes, Your Honor. I make a motion to approve resolution number 26565, approving a preliminary site development plan for Hunter's Ridge North First Edition, located east of Winslow Road and north of Stag's Leap Lane, Midwest Development.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Council discussion.
What's interesting, that area originally, Bob Verheely and Ralph Blackford planned another 9 holes. Yeah, because of their activity of all the golf outings and everything. They have all the members who have a difficult time playing golf. So they had planned on another 9 holes, but golf isn't quite it was 10 years ago or 15. So it looks, it'd be really handy to have the roadway between Lucor and over there. So I think it looks good.
I had a question after Tuesday talking about this. In Connection, we have those homes that have a street off of the Connection for access to the road. So these lots deep enough that you could have that and just have a single outlet instead of having the driveways?
Well, if this was to be a collector, I think that would be a question. But what we're planning to have is that when the roadway that we were talking about, the realignment of Echo Hill, when that goes in, that will be the roadway that'll be the connection boulevard of this neighborhood. So while this does lend to be a straight shot, it's not meant to ultimately be the collector street for the neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's why we're trying to, at one point there was an offset, there was even an offset discussed about, maybe we'll just offset it a little, by the 150 feet, but the roundabout was the decision.
The reason I got to thinking, there's no reason we won't see development just keep marching north here.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know how busy you were thinking that street would become.
I think, there's not a lot of connecting traffic at this point. If we developed out and that next collector wasn't coming in, that's when the question would come.
Right.
But with it being essentially it's literally the next phase north. Now, granted, that's not ground that's preliminary platted or anything, but so it will serve that neighborhood as a connection between the two.
I guess,
for a
are those
period of
lots
time.
deep enough to put a street, a side street through there?
No, I don't think so. That would be very difficult. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I had to ask.
No, I understandable.
Any other questions then on Tom or Mr. Skogman? Not hearing any. All those in favor of Resolution 26565 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We'll now do a second public, or I guess this is our fourth one, public hearing regarding a preliminary site development plan for the Ridge at Indian Creek Addition located northeast of Lucor Road and southeast of Indian Creek Road. This is a Bode Construction, Inc. request. So, view of what this is about, Tom?
Yep.
Start before the horse this time.
I have my plat here somewhere. This is always a fun one to present on because it's not really right with the world. Tower Terrace Road and Lucor come together at an angle, so I'll put it to the best of my knowledge being north. So this is Cornhedge, or the roundabout with the art in the middle, Tower Terrace Road. It's not constructed, but is included as part of the preliminary plat. This is Lucor going north, 35th would be south. So if you're heading out 35th going north, go around the roundabout on the right-hand side, or on the northeast side, you're going to find that this would be the ground that's being, it's been preliminary platted in this, or being preliminary platted in the preliminary site development plan is actually what the public hearing is on. The preliminary plat is the item after the preliminary site development plan on the agenda, so I'll just kind of talk about both of them. The development as proposed is split with some single-family homes and some duplexes. The area that's highlighted in yellow is the area identified for the preliminary site development plan, and it includes the duplex units. The single-family homes are to the north. This is Indian Creek Way in this vicinity here. So you got larger lot homes that were developed in the county, well and septic out in this vicinity, as well as here you got some larger lots as well. The development does, and we've encouraged this kind of transition from to kind of reflect and respect the large lot development coming to the southeast. So you got bigger and lower density lots and development continuing east. It gets a little bit higher. Ultimately, though, you're still down in the duplex range. So it's not a high density. The development, as you recall, we were talking about reduced side yard setbacks, and as I mentioned on Tuesday at the work session, that's not being considered. They did remove some lots to keep the lots sizable, and so the side yards at 7 foot would be maintained just as it would be in any other development. So it's consistent with standard zoning as well. The project will be sewered from the north. The sewer will be brought down from the north and brought in. The first phase will essentially be, let's see here, I believe it's in this vicinity here. So the first phase, the access will be off of 35th, and you'll come into the development in this area. Will not be in this area at first phase. So it's a mix of housing product. When they do get to, I think, the third phase, you will start to see Tower Terrace Road go in. And so the plat will reflect the Tower Terrace Road plan and the neighborhood at Indian Creek plan. There'll be a full access intersection here at Tower Terrace They're not proposing any access, but when this road does get built, there'll be a 3/4 access to serve the property to the south, which is that commercial node within the neighborhood and Indian Creek plan. So that's a brief summary if you guys.
Okay. So we'll open the public hearing. Does anyone want to speak in favor of this project? Anyone want to speak against this project or want more information on it? Not seeing any. The public hearing is closed. Mr. Nicholson.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 26566, approving a preliminary site development plan for the Ridge at Indian Creek Addition located northeast of Lucor Road and southwest of Indian Creek Road. Abode Construction, Inc.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Council discussion.
I have a question. Tom, you mentioned the sewer coming in from the north. And again, I quietly represent Pantini's, Roche's, and the folks that are over there in the city limits that don't have water and sewer. Where would it come through? I mean, are we going to disturb any of those properties to get the sewer into this one, or?
Let's see.
You even got Bauslog out there. I have a hard time defending him.
I'm surprised he's not here. I believe it's going to come in. And you may have to help me out here, but I believe the sanitary is going to come in this vicinity here.
So it'd come through a right-of-way between the lots?
No, it's further, isn't it? And that'll be it'll be further northeast of than the Pantinis, and to serve them, I think there'd have to be a stub brought down a little bit further to provide that, which I don't think is an issue.
But the water line will be there, so they could hook into water.
This is really poor, and I apologize. So these houses in here are plots in here, and the sewer is going to come up in this area across from these, and then run down Indian Creek Way, and then go into the site. Right here.
Yeah.
So it comes down here, comes into here, and goes into the site.
The sewer comes down Indian Creek, along Indian Creek.
Part way. It will not be in this section here. So it comes in here and then serves this area from here. No reason to extend it this direction for the developer.
Does that go through the same people's property that won't let us go in the back now?
No.
No.
This is the developer has an agreement with Lynn County and with the property owner to bring the sewer up from the trunk that's on Indian Creek. Back in this area here. Our trunk runs up and stops in this area. So they're going to run a lateral up through from the sewer in this area up into here. So they have an agreement easement from the owners in this area to cross those properties.
But do those and I'm sorry it takes so much time, but do those houses, lots don't go all the way back to Indian Creek?
Yeah, they go back to the sewer. One we're having issues with is down over here.
Right.
That doesn't allow access to these properties to the
The
sewer.
Roche property is the first one there on the left.
Mm-hmm. We've proposed projects that would allow them to be served, but they've been unable to pull those together. So
Part of the problem, if the sewer was even if the sewer was provided down Indian Creek to the front, most of their outlet is to the rear.
Well, that's true, Tom.
So there would be,
All those properties would have to pump up.
But the water doesn't, they all have wells as well that are slowly being polluted by the dump, I believe. And, to have the water out there would be a big advantage for them.
yeah, that would be their, they would have that ability. I believe with the water goes in Indian Creek Way, I believe.
Yeah, the water's up this way. There's no water in this section here, I don't think. So,
But it's got to go across the street there somehow.
I think they're gonna bring water probably in from the other location, from down in here. I didn't bring any of that stuff. Apologize. You're not improvement on them or anything.
Well, their engineer might be able to tell us. Jacob,
There you go. I didn't realize somebody was here. I'd have had you up here a long time ago.
Waiting for it. Jake Connor with the Anderson Boger Engineers. Specifically talking about the water main.
Thank you.
We're proposing a water main on the north side of Indian Creek Road. So it'd be essentially in their front yard.
Okay. So it's going up Indian Creek Road?
Just for the amount of frontage that the developer has on Indian Creek Road.
Okay.
So there.
would be in front
Where's
of all
that
of
water
those.
come from?
The water, it would come from Blue Core and from Tower Terrace.
Yeah, okay.
So that, if they
Eventually,
wanted
it
to,
would
could
tie
serve
into
about
here.
1, 2, 3, 5 houses there, it looks like.
Would potentially have access to it,
Yes.
yes.
Pardon me?
Would potentially have access to it, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Plain sanitary, was that
Well,
close?
you were close, except for here. It just comes through this draw here.
There we go.
But
So it's even
like Dan said, there are easement agreements in place with the property owners there, and with Lynn County as well.
Any comments on this side? That answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
They don't get any sewer, that's what.
This does not help them, no.
To get water, and clean water.
They got water, but they can wash their septic out with it. I guess.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions then on this? All those in favor of resolution 26566 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 26,567, approving a preliminary plat for the ridge at Indian Creek Addition located northeast of Blue Core Road and southeast of Indian Creek Road from Abode Construction Incorporated.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, council discussion on this. Everyone conscious of this?
Paul might want to ask where the sewer's coming in.
Oh, well.
All those in favor of resolution 26567 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Didn't think we'd ever be done, did you? This is a motion to receive and file correspondence resigning from the Planning and Zoning Commission, Renee Gadala. Anyway, it's a sad and a happy because she's coming on to council here too. So.
And she doesn't sell chocolate in San Francisco.
Second?
No, there's no second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to receive and file correspondence from Renee Gadala resigning from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 26568, approving an advance payment to Prospect Meadows in an amount of $800,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26568, approving an advance payment to Prospect Meadows in the amount of $800,000. Discussion? None? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Yes, Your Honor, there's several mayoral appointments. J.T. Anderson for Sidewalk Advisory, Jay Moore for Marion Arts Council, term expiring 1/1/21. Amanda Proper for the Planning and Zoning Commission, term expires 12/31/21. Want me to keep going?
Let's do these
Okay.
first and then.
All right.
Okay. Second?
Second.
They scrutinize that more really close there.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint J.T. Anderson to Sidewalk Advisory Committee, Jay Moore to Marion Arts Council, and Amanda Proper to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Yes, Your Honor, this is mayoral reappointments for Dennis Fever for the Art Council, term expiring 1/1/21. J.R. Bach, Construction Code Review Board, term expiring 1/1/22. Jim Angerer, the Construction Code Review Board, term expiring 1/1/22. Judy Hull for Unit B Historical Preservation Committee, term expiring 1/1/21. Grant Geyer for the Nuance Enforcement Property Maintenance Advisory Board, term expiring 1/1/21. James Holt for Nuance Enforcement Property, term expiring 1/1/21. John McIntosh for the Park Board, term expiring 12/31/21. Kyle Martin for the Park Board, term expiring 12/31/21. Terry Spirrell for the Park Board, term expires 12/31/21. Jalissa Moorman for the Planning and Zoning Commission, term expiring 12/31/22. Kevin Morgan for the Public Service Board, term expires 12/31/19. Craig Adamson for the Public Service Board, term expiring 12/31/19. Sunshine McDonald for Tree Board, term expires 1/1/21. Molly Lorenz for the Tree Board, term expiring 1/1/21. Marilyn Torme for the Tree Board, term expiring 1/1/21. John McIntosh for the Water Board, term expiring 12/31/23. And Ryan Sunderman for the Zoning Board of Adjustment, term expiring 12/31/22.
17 seconds, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
17 of them, so I'm
Your
doing
Honor,
about
I
one.
notice a discrepancy in addresses, however, because John McIntosh at one point is 1385 7th Street and in another 1385 7th Avenue. Now, John's good, but I don't think he's that fast.
7th Street and 7th Avenue.
Yeah, it should be 7th Street the whole way.
Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, any discussion on these?
That's a good catch.
Obviously, this really highlights the fact that we have a lot of people who serve the community in so many different ways, and they volunteer their time. And it's great that all these people want to continue after their term expires. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor of the reappointments as stated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Did you want me to repeat them all?
No, you did it fine.
She thought you were gonna, so I'm just kidding.
I was tempted to. Okay, council discussion time.
Why, yes.
Would you like to start?
Yeah, I would love to. Do you want the good or the bad first?
Well,
Well, I know that Park Board gets paid. Is there any other volunteer? Yeah, $500 a year.
Did we change that? No, we didn't change that. We did talk about possibly changing that.
Well, I think that if they're going to be paid, then they should be elected. They shouldn't be just,
They used to be
named to it.
elected.
It used to be that the Park Board members were elected a long time ago. In a galaxy far, far
That's
away.
true.
Okay. The student housing that is being built by Marion on Fifth Avenue is progressing just amazingly. The shell is up, and it looks like it could really go interior.
You mean the student-built housing?
Yes. Now, that was the good part. I definitely think that the city should not be sending floral displays for new babies, funerals, etc. I think that any monies spent by the city should be for city purposes. And I know that when I was in the hospital, I requested no flowers be sent, although the mayor did, but I'm sure he took care of that himself.
That was from me, yes.
Yes, because I think that even though it's a very small amount, probably yearly, and maybe it helps the morale of city workers, but I don't think the folks out there know any of the people that are receiving these, and I think that money should be spent for city items. Also, I definitely will be fighting in a civilian capacity the attempts to literally destroy the railroad heritage of Marion. My father worked for the railroad for 47 years, and my grandfather, my half-brother, my brother, all were railroad men. And I really do not think that, we've lost the tracks and we've lost a lot of stuff, some houses, but the overpass is the one I am really going to fight for, so you better be ready. That's all I have. It has been an honor serving with you fellows, minus Kim. To include Kim if she was here. And I appreciate you putting up with me, I guess, for another 4 years. But never say never.
Dave?
Well, first off, I want to apologize for being so late. We had an issue at work that I thought by getting to work at 5 o'clock in the morning was early enough to resolve this issue, and, well, I was wrong. And so I got here as soon as I could. More importantly, I do want to thank everybody, the city folks, everybody, for my year here. I've been on the city council. It's been a privilege to support our community in this manner. I wish I could continue to have done this, but working an hour away makes it very difficult. And so this is an example. Today was an example for the difficulty it can be by doing that, but I have enjoyed my time. I appreciate all the hard work that goes into this, and I appreciate all the staff that have given us all this background information as much as possible to keep us informed, and I really appreciate that. And I'm going to miss being on the council, and I wish everybody good luck. I wish Renee good luck. I wish Randy good luck. And so it's going to be, bittersweet, but I know it's going to be in good hands moving forward. So.
But you didn't bring a note.
I did not bring a note, no.
Well, just real quick, I'll just want to thank Mary Lou and Dave and Joe for their service to the city, who all have done an excellent job, even you, Mary Lou.
Thanks, Rob.
You bet, Mary Jane.
Well,
Didn't you want to close the meeting?
I will.
You want
Yes,
that at the end?
yes, I will. Go ahead.
Oh, you just leapfrogged a little bit.
Well, I think Joe asked to be at the end.
Oh, well, I would echo the same thing about Joe all the way down to Slug. Gonna miss you, girls, so.
Won't be the same.
I want to say that instead of flowers, if I get in the hospital again, a bottle of vodka would be real nice. Thank you.
There's one waiting back there.
I didn't have a lot of time this week, but I was at Mayo Clinic and kind of getting me back into time a little bit. And I'm always looking at history, so I thought, I wonder how this thing happened. Well, the Mayo Clinic was actually formed in 1864 when they had a tornado in Rochester, Minnesota. And Dr. Mayo had been there 5 years. And he, in his attempt to treat people, they found a real problem with, but the local Catholic Church assured him that they would build him a hospital if he would come there and be their resident surgeon. And he did that, and they built St. Mary's Hospital, which originally was 27 beds. It's now a little over 2,000 in their building on, and it's still happening. But a couple of things, the Mayo Clinic has 4,500 doctors. They have employees, how'd you like to make this payroll each week? 57,100 employees at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, all the way from whatever. So there's 17 buildings, and I think it's kind of neat. They're all open. If any of you have an opportunity to wonder about a short vacation sometimes, it's really interesting. And it's 3.5 hours away, and I would encourage any of you to go there just to see the history of medicine in this country. St. Mary's Hospital, again, was the best hospital in the nation last year, so it's world-renowned. A lot of prizes and a lot of plaques on walls, and if you get up that way, make sure you go there. Locally, I kind of made a little request at the meeting last time concerning the brick house on 11th. And Lon, in his absence, wasn't here. I would hope that you and I could sit down and you would read what I did say at that meeting so I don't have to repeat. But I have a great deal of interest in that we don't have many brick houses. And if we have an opportunity to save one through movement 2 blocks away, certainly we should look at that opportunity. That's a house that was built in the 1860s, and the frame part of it could be removed. We could move it up the street, and it would be bookends to another brick house as they completed that process on 6th. And I would think, if we take what the city's going to have to pay to tear it down, if we would consider a TIF on it, that we can come up with enough money, along with the owner of that property down there, to move that and save that house. Not the frame part, the brick part. It would be about the Granger House age, and certainly something, if you go in it, I made mention of grain painting. Years ago, when wood was kind of expensive, a lot of the houses, they used pine woodwork, but they'd paint it to look like walnut or whatever you wanted. And that house does have the painted woodwork in it. So anyway, I would hope that we can discuss this at some point, because to the old guy it's important anyway. I don't know about the rest of you, but let's consider it and see what we can do, and if there is funding available, and see if we can't do some good with that. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. I had a blast yesterday at Marion High School. Had lunch with students and had just a great exchange of ideas and thoughts, and I'll be doing that on a more regular basis. And they're just learned that they're really positive kids. They love Marion. They had a lot of great ideas, and we're going to go in groups to the schools more and engage with students and let them know that their opinions matter, and we want them to have a say in their city, the future of their city, and where, the direction that it goes in, because obviously they're the future residents and leaders of the city. So that type of activity always is always a lot of fun for me. I enjoy it, and so yesterday was the first time at Marion High School. Happy birthday last week, Mary Lou.
Thank you, thank you. I do have one thing, though, about you speaking with the high school kids. They have all these great ideas, but tell them there's a cost that comes with it.
But what's really impressive, every one of the high schoolers at Marion High School submitted an idea for Imagine Next. So every student submitted an idea.
Did they put down the price tag with it?
That wasn't part of the instructions for the ideas was don't worry about cost, just come up with ideas, because that's you want people to submit creative ideas without thinking about the cost. The cost comes later when you're deciding if you can do it or not, but we wanted to collect the ideas. They're very close to their goal of 3,000 ideas, by the way.
Okay.
So,
Your Honor, I had one
yes.
other item, if I could, and that was that I wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. As we go to our churches and families this weekend, it's a wonderful time of year, so let's enjoy it.
I also want to thank the outgoing members. Joe, you've been a good friend, and it's been an honor to work with you, and serving as Mayor Pro Tem. You've been a great support, and I always admire your enthusiasm and your positive attitude about everything in terms of supporting the city projects, and just being an advocate for what the city is doing. And I really have appreciated it. I'm going to miss you. But hopefully you're not going anywhere. Hopefully you'll still be active in another way. Dave, you've had 1 year, but it's been an impactful year, and we really have benefited from your presence here and your wisdom and just your level of knowledge and experience. And I'm going to miss you also, and hope that someday when things change in terms of work life, that you'll consider running again for council. But we'll keep you involved in another way. Mary Lou, 24 years collectively. That's amazing. That's admirable and commendable, and we appreciate your love for the city and your all the times that you had us chuckling up here, and got us thinking about a lot of things. And
thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate your friendship.
I don't think I've been too hard on you.
I don't think so. Okay, and as Paul said, I want to wish everyone a happy holidays if you celebrate Christmas, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate another holiday. Wish you the best of holidays. And Marion has had a terrific year. Hopefully I'll come back next year ready to continue the momentum and continue moving forward, because if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. So we need to keep Marion moving forward and progressing. There's a lot of change, but with change comes great opportunities, and we need to continue to look for those opportunities to make this the best place to live and do business. So thank you, everyone. I want to thank the staff for a great year. I think we have best staff around. The level of teamwork and cooperation and collaboration that goes on in this building and throughout our city and our entire staff, and with the economic development folks and other agencies and business groups and citizen groups. There's a great attitude of cooperation and everyone wanting to see things be better. And our staff works very hard, and they just impress me all the time. And I just want to thank them and wish them happy holidays, and look forward to working with you for another year. So now for Joe.
Oh, okay. Well, first off, I want to say that the person that's really has helped me to be on council and to be able to serve all this time, if she would stand up, my wife of 45 years almost. This is Teresa, and she has been my rock to help me all this time, and so I really appreciate that. And so I appreciate Lon. When I ask him a question, he has never rolled his eyes.
Are you saying that's what your wife does?
Are you saying Teresa has?
Yeah.
No matter how stupid it was, a question, I know Beth isn't here tonight, but Beth is one of the hardest working people I have ever seen. She is here till 8, 9 o'clock at night, and she is here all the time, it seems like. And for Tom, keep making those plans. I'm going to call you one day and say, hey, where's my comprehensive plan? Dan, I wish you a happy retirement as well.
Oh, yes. That's right.
And I hope you enjoy Florida and come back here every once in a while. To the Chiefs, thank you guys for making us safe and a great place to live in Marion. That one thing we don't have to worry about is the things that you protect us with. And Mike, I've seen his truck there at 6 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock at night. He's the parks guys are just always there. And Ryan, I go by the drop stuff off on Saturday, and there's that red Chevy sitting there at the building. So, the staff is really there to serve, and I appreciate it.
Dan, how many years? How many years? 39 years.
Yes.
Thank you for all your great service.
Yeah. But not only to the people that are in here, it's the employees too that these people represent. My thanks to them as well. And one of the things that I was talking with Steve tonight about, and I would ask that Lon, you guys would do, is set up a time to talk with them about how the meetings go, and like the iPads. I don't think any one of them use iPads, so you need an iPad 101 to know how to find the things. So when they get up here, because the first meeting is a work session and a meeting, so it's going to be a fire hose for people that don't know how to find things. So I would ask that you would set up a meeting, set up a time to meet with Renee and them, and get them. I think Randy's probably seen it before, but he might want a refresher. But
I would just have to point out that I also do not use iPads, so I would be taking the class at the same time.
Yeah. But anyway, it's been great. 10 years. I have enjoyed serving the city. If you look at the Marion Times, I put a little divot in there today, so I appreciate everyone's support. And thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you. And I'll be around. We will be around. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor. It's been a pleasure serving with you. Oh, and by the way, I mentioned this Tuesday, number 2 corridor business selection for the year here. So our mayor was selected for that. So congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
So,
as I've said to several people this week, any recognition is just a reflection of the great people that live in this city and the people I have the honor to work with.
Yeah. So congratulations to you. You're reaching higher, man.
We all are. We all are together. So.
All right. And are we done?
I'm done.
I asked the mayor one last time to have the gavel, and if we're completely done. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
I can wear my pin.